What's up everyone, it's Dakota and welcome back to another Pioneer video, and today we're taking a look at a new combo deck that has emerged onto the scene in Pioneer, and I gotta tell you, it's pretty interesting and, kind of, I guess, what you could expect from the new mechanic in the new Ixalan set. So today we're going to take a look at Quintorius combo for the Pioneer format, 9-0 in the Pioneer Showcase Challenge by Triosk. But before we get too deep into it, of course, if you're not already subscribed to the channel and you want to see more content like this, other essay videos, and the sort, please consider subscribing to the channel, ring the notification bell so you get notified when those videos get posted. And in the description down below, there's a link to the Discord server. Please be sure to go over there, click it, follow it, and join the Discord server. Join it. Join it. All right. Now that that's out of the way, Quintorius combo for the Pioneer format. We looked at this card in, going over some of the new mechanics. Quintorius Cond, the one planeswalker that is printed in the set. It has this unique static effect of whenever you cast a spell from exile, Quintorius Cond deals 2 damage to each opponent and you gain 2 life. +1s to make a 3/2 red-white spirit creature token. But the real, the real reason we're here, this is the show, Discover 4. And for those of you that don't know, Discover 4 essentially plays like Cascade. And so you end up getting to play this card, you minus it, you're going to keep flipping until you get a 4-cost card. Or less. I believe it's or less. So you have cards like Spark Double, Clever Impersonator as your 4-cost cards. Everything else in your deck costs more than 4. It is 5, in Quintorius or greater. So, and that is obviously by design because the way to kind of like best build around Cascade, you either play really good value cards to where like every number you're kind of fine with hitting them and getting them, which is kind of what we've seen from like Jund decks in Modern's past, and the way that Cascade decks have kind of been built throughout the years, and that's making sure that you are not playing other cards and you are going exactly into the cards you want. So we want Spark Doubles and we want Clever Impersonators because we're going to activate this. We're going to get one of these cards and then we're going to be able to cast it from exile, giving the, triggering Quintorius' static effect to deal 2 damage. Spark Double Impersonator or whatever, they're going to copy Quintorius Cond, and then they're going to minus, and then they're going to go into another Spark Double or Clever Impersonator, and then they're going to deal 2 damage to your opponent and gain 2 life. Spark Double, I believe, it will like copy the Planeswalker and it will be legendary. Spark Double being the best one to hit because then you get to keep 2 Quintorius Cons on the battlefield. So when you go on minus again, you cast an Impersonator or Spark Double, you're going to essentially deal 2 damage and gain 2 life twice. So then eventually it's going to stack up, and that's how you win the game. You just keep getting into Impersonators, just Spark Doubles, copy Cond, and then just, keep casting spells from exile. Just make sure that you hit -3 and not +1. Easy enough. So we know the game plan. How the heck are we getting around it? Because obviously a lot of like the interactive spells are cheap. You want cheap interactive spells to make sure that you kind of get to 5 mana. So how are we going to do that? Well, you have the Greater Tanuki, which, I mean, these cards are going to be interesting, let me tell you. So this is a 5-mana 6/5 with Trample. Really probably not that important, but the channel ability is important, where you can pay 2 and a green and discard it and search your library for a basic land and put that card onto the battlefield tapped and shuffle your library. Obviously, we're trying to get to 5 mana as fast as possible, so cards like Greater Tanuki, Beanstalk Giant, which is a 7 mana that gets power and toughness equal number of lands you control, but has 2 and a green. The adventure part of it lets you search for a basic land, put on the battlefield tapped. Essentially between like these 2 cards, you can ramp and kind of get to a point where like you can cast Quintorius Con like turn 4. And you have like Herd Migration, which is like another way that you can kind of help your mana base. You can pay 2 and discard this card, search life for basically and reveal, put in your hand, you gain 3 life, buffers your life total a little bit. Can get whatever land that you're missing, so then you can go in and cast this Quintorius Con, or eventually cast some of the other cards that are in here. You have Trumpeting Carnosaur, which has Discover 5, which I believe is pretty good because you can just hit like Quintorius Con, things like that. And then also, you know, hit some of these other cards, so then you just kind of keep going off with it till you hit a Quintorius and then go from there. But it also, for 3 mana or 2 in a red, you can discard it and it deals 3 damage to target creature or planeswalker. You know, again, just kind of having like these other use cases where you don't necessarily want the creature, but like the creature does offer some utility, but you know, you're using it for the effect rather than the body itself. You have Cosign and Oblivion. So Cosign is essentially return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. You know, easy. And then Oblivion you can cast from your graveyard, and target opponent discards 2 cards. So you can kind of, in a way, like ramp up to it, and then you know put pressure on your opponent's hand, and kind of delay some things that way, to where you can get up to 5 mana to cast your Planeswalker. You have Leyline Binding, which is a card that is not going to get hit by your Discovery spells, and also just deals with a problematic permanent, and you can do it pretty cheap thanks to cards like Herd Migration, Beanstalk Giant, and playing some of these Triomes to kind of get up to the full domain for Leyline Binding. Virtue of Persistence, again, following the theme of all these cards that are expensive, but they have cheap abilities or cheap things attached to them. And in this case, you can give a creature -3/-3 till end of turn, and you gain 2 life. And then obviously the other effect of just getting to put a creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield in your control. Games go long. This is kind of a nice backup plan. The mana base, kind of what you would expect. There's not really any lands that offer any utility outside of kind of making sure that you have the colors of mana that you need for Leyline of Binding, and the land types as well for the Leyline Binding. The Triomes, obviously, you can cycle later on as like the game goes longer, just so you can eventually find your combo piece. It's kind of the whole reason why you would play this deck. The sideboard is also built with cards that you're not going to be able to discover into. Repudiate, Replicate, getting to stifle a trigger. So, I guess you could, in theory, do this in the mirror and counter, Quintorius' activated ability to discover. You can also create a token that's a copy of a creature that you control. You got some, like, pretty big beaters and stuff like that. This could eventually come up where you could do that. Shafet Monitor is more ramp. You can cycle, search your lane for a basic land or a desert card, put it on the battlefield and shuffle. Also just a big body, 6/6/5. Thought Distortion to take out like the control players and take away any possible interaction that they could have for your Planeswalker. Bedeck Bedazzle, another one of those like removal spells / can mess with like what your opponent's got going on by giving your creature +3, -3, or getting to destroy a non-basic land and getting to deal 2 damage to an opponent or Planeswalker. So yeah, that is the Quintorius combo deck for the Pioneer format. It's interesting. They tried to fix the Cascade mechanic and ended up finding a way to essentially break it. There is other Discover Cascade decks. I thought this one was the most interesting just because it's using the Planeswalker and then just copying it a bunch of times to end up winning the game. I thought that was really neat. So definitely something to keep an eye on going forward. 9-0, like they went completely undefeated through the entirety of like the showcase challenge. That's pretty amazing, honestly. So definitely worth taking a look into. Maybe even building. Really, like a lot of your price is going to be in the land. So if you already have the lands, you have a decent amount of this deck already built. So yeah, that's going to do it for me. I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already subscribed. And of course, ring the notification bell so you know when those videos get posted. And then join the Discord server as well. The link is in the description there. That's going to do it for me. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you all in the next one.